Welcome back to the Milwaukee Show, and today we're, of course, talking about every single one of the 32 NHL teams and placing them on my list here of their chances of winning the Stanley Cup. And I know it's like, oh, it's one of these videos, but you know what? What the hell? Let's have some fun. So, we're going to go through here, and it's not based on making the playoffs, right? That's not the question. It's not making the playoffs how close they get to the top of the league. It's not how far in the playoffs they go. This is about actually winning the Stanley Cup, okay? So the tiers are Stanley Cup. As you can see, it's a mug. I'm clever. Great art. I'm amazing. Could see it. Get it? It's the clown. And honestly, no, but we could maybe see it happen with some changes. And then you've got no chance. No chance in hell that those teams are going to win. So, let's just jump in right into it with the first team, because their magnet fell off and I want to make sure they'll fit on the board, is the Vancouver Canucks. Now, this is a team that I think if it was any other year, and I know it's just like you're hopping on the bandwagon, I'm not cheering for them or anything, but it is undeniable that they are the third best team in the NHL right now. Things just seem to be going right for them. They have goaltending, they have offense, they have somewhat of a good defense, and that is kind of where I put them in. I could see it for this season alone. And am I worried that they'll start dropping off? Yes. Am I worried that they don't really have the playoff experience? Yes. Do I see them winning the Stanley Cup? Not really. But I could see it happening, and that is why they're not in it. They're not in this they're honestly no, because they definitely think they get in the playoffs, and I do think they get past the first round, and depending on how things look by then, if they've put together some good defensive pieces, if they're a team that picks up a Zadorov and maybe one more shutdown defenseman, I could see them as a true possible real threat in the playoffs. But for right now, I think they're in the could see it category, but not quite Stanley Cup. Let's just go from, on the camera, that way. So let's start off with the Anaheim Ducks. So the Ducks, they're just no. They've got no chance in hell. There's no way. They are right now in a playoff spot, but even if they make it in, their guys are too small, too inexperienced, and they're more likely to be a seller than a buyer. There's just no way. There's no chance in hell. They get in. I don't think they're a team that I don't see doing damage. And unlike a team like the Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins, if they make it in to the playoffs, that is the question mark. And that's where some of these teams come into play, and we'll tackle them. And I think the Penguins are another one of those teams that if they do get into the playoffs, I think they are a fighter in it. But honestly, no. Like, they're not going to, if they make it in, it'll be a tough challenge, and they'll need Erik Karlsson to be his Ottawa Senators type of Karlsson when they made it to the conference finals when Penguins knocked them out. They'll need Crosby and Malkin to be kicking, Gensel to not be injured, and Letang at full. And goaltending, just everything else around that team, I don't see them being a Stanley Cup champion at this point. Then the Nashville Predators. This is a team where it's like, no. There's no way. Like, they're not bad, right? I would say maybe they're even potentially. No. There's just no, they are a type of team with guys like Ryan O'Reilly and their defense and Saros and net that if they get in, I could see them putting on a good fight and maybe getting past the first round. But they just don't have anything. Like, they would need to add a serious piece to the puzzle for me to believe in them. And that's kind of been the Predators' issue for a while now, is defensively they have superstars, but they've never really had that offensive bullet, and they still don't, and I don't think there's really anyone they could add to change that for right now. So really, I would say there's no chance that they win. Next, the Boston Bruins. This is a team that I really like, one of the maybe three that I want to put in this category. But because of what happened last season, and with what could happen this year if they move on from Ullmark and stay with Swayman, and the more likely than not that they are a worse team than they were last year, and they couldn't get past the Panthers. I don't know if they can really get past other teams. So I'll say I could see it happening, but they're not the Stanley Cup champions right now. I think the team is incredible, but with the last year what happened, and that they are not as good as they were last year, even though their season is going fantastic. I don't think they make it in. I just don't. No, not make it in. I just don't think they win the Stanley Cup. So for me, the Bruins are they are the perfect candidate for the could see it, but not Stanley Cup. The Tampa Bay Lightning, honestly, no. They're not going to do it. I think I call it at the beginning of the year. I'm not even sure if the team's going to make it into the playoffs. With how other teams are playing, like Buffalo, maybe they do make it in the Senators. But for Tampa, even if they make it to the playoffs, this team they're tired. They've lost some pieces. Vasilevsky was injured, and sure, by playoffs he should be completely fine. But they finally ran into a wall of the finals 2 years ago. Last year they ran into a wall during the season and then knocked out of the playoffs. And now they are just still not in it. If something changes, if Vasilevsky puts up Vezina winning numbers and he could, that's why they're in this category. Honestly, no. But if things go the right way, if Victor Hedman jumps out and everything lines up like the Panthers did last playoffs, they've won it. They 3 years in a row went back to back and have been dominant for the last decade. I'm not going to count them completely out, but it's honestly not going to happen. The Chicago Blackhawks, not going to happen. Even if they make it in, if Connor Bedard is top 10 in goal scoring and somehow, by the stroke of God, that they make it into the playoffs, there is no way that the team is ready to go again. I would say they lose a playoff series against these two teams right now. So there's just no way. There's not much to... I don't think anyone's going to disagree with me there. The Avalanche. I think this is still a team that is suffering from the same issues they had last season going into this one. So I think they are I could see it happening, and if they add in, if they can make some interesting moves, and they are a team that can get somebody, that Nazem Kadri, to make that team just so much more deeper and incredible. If let's say by the trade deadline they are able to pick up, maybe they get a guy like Lindholm, right? Kadri went to Calgary. If they can bring back a guy like Lindholm for one playoff run, I could see it happening. But they're missing that one piece that won them the Stanley Cup 2 years ago for this team right now. So I could see it, and they definitely could be promoted, but for right now, they're in the could see it. Dallas making it to the conference finals last year, losing to the Golden Knights, and they only seem better. I think they're still in the could see it. I think they need a couple more defensive pieces. We've been saying the same thing since the beginning of the offseason, that they're a team that needs some better defensive pieces, and they haven't done that yet, and they're still in the same place. So if they can do that, if they're a team that can add in a defensive shutdown guy, a couple of them, and make that offense not the issue, goaltending's not the issue, it's defense. Give Onger some help. Heiskanen is absolutely unreal, but they need a couple more guys, and I'll change my mind there. The Red Wings, I really want to put them in the could see it, but I don't think they're ready. I don't think they win the Stanley Cup. I feel like this is the category. It's they're definitely going to make the playoffs, but they cannot win it. And for me, the Red Wings will make the playoffs for the first time in years, but they're just not ready. Their young guys just aren't ready. I don't think Larkin and DeBrincat are good enough to win the Stanley Cup. If they add a guy like Patrick Kane and he can be Showtime, maybe, but I just don't really see it. The New Jersey Devils, I'm going to put them in the honestly no category. I still think that they have not hit that dynasty level yet. I feel like this is a setback year, the sophomore slump kind of year for the whole team as a whole, where last year was their huge year, and now this is kind of them taking a step back. and then next season will be the year where they go in full force. Guys like Mercer and Meyer kind of being cold, and then the injuries to start the season now for Jack Hughes and Heischer and really everyone. I feel like this is the year that it slows them down a bit, and I don't think they do it this season. But I think next year was when they're in their dynasty prime, where for the next 5 years we could see them in the finals for a couple times. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But for this year, honestly, no. I love the team. I absolutely love the Devils, but I don't think they win the cup this year. The Blue Jackets, not going to happen. I don't think I need to persuade anyone. The team just isn't good enough. They're not trying to be good enough. They just aren't. So, for me, I don't got to change anyone's mind. The Toronto Maple Leafs. It's already showing in the regular season that the changes that we thought were going to make this team different haven't done anything. So they're right there with the Devils. Honestly, no. I don't think it's going to happen for them this year. I still think they're in the same place where just something about the structure of the team. Like, offensively, fine. It's just still defensively and goaltending has been the issue. And by adding the grit to the team, it has done, for one, not added grit, but two, still no defense. And the best winning teams of the last few years of Colorado, Tampa, and Vegas have all had one thing of many in common, but was great defense. And the Maple Leafs do not have that. So, honestly, no. But if they add some pieces, who knows? The Carolina Hurricanes. Usually, they are my here and here. But something is off about this season, and I feel it's just one of those slump years for them. The whole league feels like that. It just feels like one of those slump seasons that it's just like, this is their off year. They've been good for like 5 years, the Hurricanes been solid for the last like 4 years or so now. I feel like this is just their step back year. This is their rest year, that next year they'll be back in it. But for this season, I feel like this kind of their setback where they don't win it. It's not a bad thing, but just don't think it's going to happen. The Calgary Flames, no way. The team's selling. I think everything's going to be gone by the trade deadline, and by 12 p.m. on March whenever the trade deadline is, I think the Calgary Flames, Lindholm and Huberdeau and Weegar might not be on the team anymore, and Hanifin. So, no way. The Edmonton Oilers, I'm gonna put them in this category as well. The team, they weren't able to do it the last 2 years. Last year they weren't able to do it, and this year they're so bad to start the season. There's no way that they course correct this to making it a Stanley Cup champion. Do they course correct it to the playoffs? I could believe it. But something about this team, and I've been saying it, but people disagree. They're like, what are you talking about? Defense isn't the issue. And I'm like, are you joking? What could be? I mean, I've never been a fan of Stuart Skinner or Jack Campbell, but everyone thought they were the saviors. Stuart Skinner was an all-star. What the hell's up with that? And I've never been a fan of theirs, and they're just showing I was right all along. And the Oilers, their issues, like the Maple Leafs, just the same thing. Defense and goaltending save teams' lives, and they do not have it. The Winnipeg Jets, no. Like, even against the Vegas Golden Knights last season, it's roughly the same team, but a little bit less. And even then, they didn't even put up a fight. They didn't even, not that they just like didn't hold them to a competition. It was not competitive at all. So the Jets just, no. The St. Louis Blues, going to the other refrigerator. The St. Louis Blues, I feel like, are in the not going to happen. Yeah, I don't know what they could add. There's nothing, like, realistically that this team could do to make them win the Stanley Cup. Making, like, the playoffs is one thing. Winning the thing, entirely different. And the Blues, for me, just, no. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to put the Bruins up here. I've been like thinking it in the back of my head this whole time, and I think maybe they could. They're a team that all the things I'm saying, like the Stars need to add some pieces or whatever, I think the Bruins will add pieces, unless I do think that would be dumb, but I think they're going to, and they'll get a center and make the center depth even better, and I think they are up there. I think it's a situation where they get knocked down a peg for them to come back stronger. That's what I think is going to happen here. The Arizona Coyotes. No. I think this is a team that is really exciting to watch right now, not just because I'm a big fan of theirs, but they're exciting, and it is actually crazy that they're in a playoff spot like the Anaheim Ducks. And will they make the playoffs? Probably not. If they did, do they go anywhere? No. I think you know what? Between the Ducks and the Coyotes, I think they could make the first round that they play in super exciting, because especially for a team like the Coyotes with guys like Keller and Schmaltz who've been here forever trying to have success in the NHL, they would have like they would fight so hard against them and fight so hard. But I don't think it'd be worth it. Would it be the most entertaining series between the Ducks and the Coyotes against whoever they played against? I think so. But I don't think they win. So the Coyotes, just not going to happen. The Vegas Golden Knights. It's nighttime in the NHL right now. Stanley Cup, absolutely. They're the same team minus Riley Smith. They're just as good, maybe even better as they were last year. And there's no reason to doubt them. They are just amazing. Just plain and simple. They're just amazing. The Buffalo Sabres. I really wanted, at the beginning of the year, to put them here. Now I'm not even, they're just not going to do it. This team is, this season is already just cast it out the door. Like, it is, God, the Buffalo Sabres, just, like, besides the Sharks, where are they here? Besides the Sharks, who will just immediately put down here, and we won't even brush upon them. Just frustration to the max with these teams. Like so last year, so exciting to watch, to this year being, like, I don't want to talk about it. The LA Kings. See, it's so hard, because the last 2 years they go into the playoffs, they look like they are a competitor. But they just can't get anywhere, because they face off against some of the hardest teams, and I just feel like they haven't done a whole lot to make me change my mind. Like, are they a playoff team? Absolutely. But are they as good as the Stars and the Avalanche? Are they as good as these teams? No. So, honestly, I'll put them in the no. I think they're a perfect candidate for that category. Like, they're going to make the playoffs. But how far do they go? I don't know. I think it's a Panthers situation that all the stars need to align. They need Kopitar and Kempe to be on fire. They need Byfield to step up, and they need guys like Drew Doughty. And this year they are doing that. Doughty is on fire, and goaltending is okay. But they really need it when it comes to the playoffs. So, honestly, no, but we can see what happens. The Minnesota Wild. Just no. Like, they haven't done anything to make them better. They can't really add anything to make them better. They've never been able to succeed. It's the same team. No. Just no. The Washington Capitals, same thing. No. I think if they're a team that if they get in, maybe if they get into the playoffs, all of those veteran guys step up and they put on a good show, but no, it's not going to happen. They don't have a chance. The Canadians, we can slide them in here as well. I think they're a team that I think they're a team, like, we'll jump to these guys as well, and the Islanders, that if these two teams make it into the playoffs, I think they fight tooth and nail with the other team. But I don't think the Islanders have a chance. But this team does, of getting into the playoffs. And if they do, they are up here, because that is how they play. But I think they're in the honestly no. Unless offense is ramped up, they'll need to add something. If a Nylander is on the market or something, or a Marner, and they're the ones that can pick one of those guys up, maybe. Because then I think with Marner, Barzal, Nelson, whatever, Bo Horvat, the offense could be good enough with their amazing defense and goaltending. But until that happens, and that's kind of a stretch to believe, they're in the honestly, but maybe. The New York Rangers. God, this team, once again, it's a hard one to call. Do I see them as the Stanley Cup champions? Not really. Could I see it, though? Yes. I think the Rangers, they have all the tools to the puzzle. They have the offense, they have the defense, they have the goaltending. But they've had it for the last 3 years, and they haven't been able to get to the finals. And I feel like it's the prior history with them, right? They've proven that they go far in the playoffs. It's a matter of, can they get to the final, the end of the playoffs. And that's where I doubt them, and I don't know the answer to. So for me, I could see it, but I don't know. The Philadelphia Flyers, no. Just no. It's not going to happen. Who should we say for last? The Ottawa. Seattle. No, I don't think Seattle wins it. I don't think Seattle has a chance. Last year, I mean, they showed that the 4 second lines, the defense, the goaltending, it all came into, like the Panthers, just all came into play. But there's no way. I think they can do once again how they beat one spectacular team. But once you get past that one team, I don't think they have what it takes to go 4 series. That's where I have an issue with them. And the Ottawa Senators, the capital of Canada's team, but not the capital of hockey. The Sens, I think it's in the honestly, but no. Because they feel like they should have all the pieces. But it's just they struggle. They struggle to win. They have all the pieces together. It's just it's like if Thanos had all the Infinity Stones, but he just didn't know how to put them in the gauntlet. That's how it feels like with the Senators. Like they have the stars, the defense, the goaltending, sort of, depending on the night. But it's just like they just have struggled to win. It's unlike the Maple Leafs, where it's like they don't have what it takes, and they don't have the pieces, but they could win. The Ottawa Senators, they feel like they have the pieces, but they just cannot figure out how to win and dominate. And I could see that changing, but what's more likely? Them changing and winning the Stanley Cup, or figuring things out and losing as well? So that's where they end up. Honestly, no, but maybe. And that is all I gotta say. So if you've made it this far, please, first off, thank you so much. But also, please, I'm begging you, pick up your free subscription down below. And until next time, too sweet. Have an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.